Hi viewers, this is J. Swami, Assistant Professor of Zoology. In this class, we are going to discuss the general characters of reptiles. The meaning of reptiles, the name of reptiles has been derived from the word reptum. Reptum means creep, otherwise belly creepers. All these organisms included under the class Reptilia or reptiles. They have been originated from the labyrinthodont amphibians during the late Carboniferous period, and they have been flourished in the Mesozoic era of the Mesozoic era. Hence, this Mesozoic era is commonly known as Golden Age of Reptiles. So, during this age, they have been flourished and they show dominant over all the organisms which were living in the terrestrial environment. Apart from all these reptiles which were survived during the Mesozoic era, later on many reptiles became extinct like the dinosaurs. Those reptiles which were survived and entered into the Cenozoic era, they may belong to four orders, namely Chelonia, Rhynchocephalia, Squamata, and Crocodilia. Let us see the general characters of the reptiles. These are the two terrestrial vertebrates because the fishes are, apart from the vertebrates, the fishes are confined to the aquatic environment, whereas amphibians, although partly they may live on the earth, but during the breeding season they have to reach the aquatic environment again, so that these are the reptiles are the two terrestrial vertebrates. They completely live on the terrestrial environment successfully. And not only that, they lay eggs on the land, and these are the first amniotes. That is, the formation of the life requires aquatic media. In order to meet this need and necessity of the reptile origin, then they have a extra embryonic membrane in the form of amnion. Here, the fishes and amphibians are the anamniotes. They lack the amnion extra embryonic membrane. These are the first animals which possess the amnion as the extra embryonic membrane, so that they are called as the first amniotes. And the study of reptiles is known as the herpetology. If you observe, the largest living reptile is the Crocodylus porosus, which grows up to 21 feet length and as well as of about 990 kgs. These 1990 kgs. Then smallest reptile is the Spirodactylus aereus, which lengthens of about 16 millimeters, so that it is known as the dwarf gecko. And giant dinosaurs extinct in the Cretaceous period. This is the largest living reptile, Crocodylus porosus, and this is the smallest one, Spirodactylus aereus. There are of about 6,000 living species are there, and these all are poikilotherms or cold-blooded animals. How to define the poikilotherms is, in accordance to the environmental temperature where actually they are living, in accordance to the environmental temperature, they modify their body temperature in accordance to the environmental temperature. Those animals which may modify their body temperature in accordance to the environmental temperature are termed as poikilotherms or cold-blooded animals. Then, body covered by horny scales, bony suits, which are epidermal in origin. Why? Because if you observe the scales of the fishes and amphibians, compare them with the scales of the reptiles, the scales of fishes and amphibians are endodermal in origin, whereas the scales and bony suits of the reptiles, they are epidermal in origin. Skin is always dry and non-glandular because the skin of the reptiles always shows impermeability to water. It never tend to lose the water through the skin, so that it is always dry and non-glandular. Body is divided into four regions, namely head, neck, trunk and tail. Paired limbs, they are present in all the reptiles except the snakes. These limbs are one pair of forelimbs, one pair of hind limbs. They are pentadactylous and they have the clawed digits. They are associated with the claws. And limbs are absent in the snakes. Limbs are absent in the snakes. And if we come to the dentition, acrodont type of dentition is seen. That is, the arrangement of the teeth takes place upon the surface of the jaw muscles. Homodont, all the teeth, they are structurally similar in their shape, size and form, and all these teeth are found on both the jaws, upper jaw and lower jaw. And thecodont type of dentition is seen only in the crocodiles. And one more speciality, the chelonians. Chelonians means all the tortoises, terrapins, turtles and the testudos, they do not contain any kind of teeth edentate. Teeth are absent, the jaws are supported with the horny sheath. And skull is monocondylic. Monocondylic means the skull has only one occipital condyle at the base of the skull, and many temporal fascia are present. And if you see count the number of bones which are present in each half of the lower jaw, there are of about 6 bones are present in each half of the lower jaw of the reptiles. That is the identification character. And if you come to the vertebrae, all the vertebrae of all the reptiles are procellus vertebrae. So that is, there is a cavity in the anterior region of the centrum of the vertebrae, and there is a ridge at the posterior region. These are the procellus vertebrae. So the important thing is, in the rhynchocephalia, the one and only example of the rhynchocephalia is Spinodon. They have amphicoelous vertebrae. This is a specialty of the rhynchocephalia. All the reptiles, they have procellus vertebrae, whereas in the case of rhynchocephalia, that is in the Spinodon, amphicoelous type of vertebrae are present. And if you see the first two cervical vertebrae, they are modified into atlas and axis to facilitate the independent movement of the head from the rest of the body. And there are two sacral vertebrae are present. And in the pectoral girdle, so in the pectoral girdle, we have three kinds of bones in each half of the pectoral girdle: coracoid, scapula and clavicle. So apart from that, here we have a T-shaped interclavicle. So in the competitive examination point of view, it is very important. T-shaped interclavicle is present in the pectoral girdle of the reptiles, whereas in the pelvic girdle, in each half of the pelvic girdle contain three bones again: ilium, ischium and the pubis. Here, apart from the pubis, here it is a epipubis is seen, and ribs form a true centrum. Ribs form a true centrum. And many of the reptiles, they show pulmonary respiration, where the lungs are the main respiratory organs. In some of the cases, cloacal respiration is seen, such as in the turtles, marine turtles. Come to the circulatory system. Heart contain incompletely divided ventricle and two auricles and one ventricle which is imperfectly divided into two. Along with that, sinus venosus is present, but the conus arteriosus is absent. And there are three aortic arches. They are directly arise from the ventricle. So that is one pair of left systemic aorta, one pair of right systemic aorta, and another one is the pulmonary aorta. So there are three, one right systemic, one left systemic and one pulmonary aorta. So all the Arteries have been emerged from all these three aortic arches. And one more important thing is there are four chambered heart in the case of order Crocodilia. Crocodiles have completely divided four chambered heart, but in the remaining reptiles, incompletely divided four chambered heart. Otherwise, two auricles and one imperfectly divided ventricle is seen. And RBC are oval, biconcave, and the nucleated RBC, and both hepatic and the renal portal systems are present. There are one pair of, apart from the excretory system, there are one pair of metanephric kidneys are present, and their excretory material is uric acid, hence they are known as uricotelic organisms. And cloaca of the reptiles get divided into three regions, namely coprodium, urodium, and the proctodium. So in some of the times in the competitive examination they ask the sequence of all these regions, chambers of the cloaca. So first one is the coprodium, second one is the urodium, followed by proctodium, CUP cup. And come to the nervous system, there is a highly developed brain when compared to the fishes and amphibians, covered by the two meninges or two membranes over the brain, and there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves all the reptiles, but only 10 pairs of cranial nerves in the snakes. And if you come to the sensory organs, external, middle, and inner ears are present. Jacobson's or vomeronasal organs are present in the snakes and some lizards, which are meant for the olfaction. A nictitating membrane is present. Eyes can differentiate colors. And come to the reproductive system, they are all unisexuals, that is, males and females are separated. Males are provided with one copulatory organ in the cases like Chelonia and Crocodilia. In some of them, there is one pair of copulatory organs in the form of hemipenis, squamata. And the most important thing is copulatory organs are absent in Spinodon. Previously, we discussed one thing about the Spinodon, that is the amphicoelous vertebrae. So another thing is copulatory organs are absent in the Spinodon. This is also very important bit. Coming to the internal fertilization, that is fertilization occurs in the body of the female. Most of them are oviparous. They lay the eggs. Viviparous. They produce the children directly. And the eggs are covered with calcium carbonated shell, so that they are known as the cleidoic eggs. So the cleidoic eggs, they have to provide abundant and sufficient amount of yolk for the development of the embryo, so that more amount of yolk material is present inside the eggs, hence they are known as a megalethal eggs. Megalethal, abundant amount of the yolk material is organized inside the eggs. And if you observe the cleavage, meroblastic type of cleavage is there, and extra embryonic membranes are seen. In general, in the vertebrates, there are four kinds of extra embryonic membranes, like yolk sac, amnion, chorion, and allantois. So these are the four extra embryonic membranes which surround the embryo, which protects the embryo, which nourish the embryo, and they are made for to nurture the embryo. They take care of the embryo's development, and the development is direct, means there are no larval stages at all. And although the reptiles may live on the land, but they reach different kinds of environments and successfully living there. They are leading their life. That is nothing but the adaptive radiation. That character is known as adaptive radiation. That is migration of organisms from one particular ambient medium into the another medium, and they lead their life successfully. For example, some of them, they leading the aquatic mode of life, like the turtles and crocodiles, terrapins. And some of them, they are the fossorial mode of life, like the snakes. And some of them arboreal mode of life, like the chameleon. They live on the plants. So like that they reach different kinds of environments and they're leading their life successfully. Such a kind of phenomena is known as the adaptive radiation. So these all are the general characters of the reptiles. Thank you one and all.